Have you ever sat across from someone you love, your partner, your spouse of many years, and felt like they were miles away, even though they were right in front of you? It's one of the most painful feelings in a relationship. And here's the truth. Emotional distance rarely happens overnight. It grows slowly, almost invisibly, like a quiet shadow. But if you can spot the warning signs early, you can do something about it before the gap becomes too wide to bridge. In the next few minutes, we'll follow the story of Robert and Helen, a couple in their late 60s. They've been married for more than 40 years. On the surface, their life looks calm, but beneath it, subtle changes begin to pull them apart. Through their story, we'll uncover 5 early warning signs of emotional distance, along with simple, research-based ways to rebuild connection. And here's my challenge for you. As you listen, choose the one sign that feels most familiar in your own life. Write that number in the comments. And if you agree with sign number 3 when we get there, type the number 3 below. I want to see how many of you have felt the same. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Silence at Dinner. One evening, Robert and Helen sat at the dinner table. The food was warm, the house was quiet, but the silence felt heavy. Years ago, their dinners had been filled with laughter, stories about their children, and dreams about the future. But now, Robert scrolled on his phone while Helen stared at her plate. They were together, but not really together. That silence was the first warning sign. Sign number 1, conversations shrink. When a couple talks less, not just about big decisions, but about everyday life, it signals emotional distance. Instead of sharing thoughts, they begin to retreat into their own worlds. Practical tip: start small. Ask open questions like, "What was the best part of your day?" Rebuild the habit of checking in with each other, even for 5 minutes before bed. Remember, connection lives in the small talks, not just the big talks. Helen noticed this change, but told herself it was just normal aging. But deep down, she felt lonely. Chapter 2. The Empty Living Room. A few weeks later, Helen sat in the living room reading. Robert was in another room watching TV. It had become their routine, spending evenings apart, in separate spaces, even when neither of them had planned it that way. Once upon a time, they couldn't wait to sit side by side. Now, distance had become the default. Sign number 2, less time together. When couples stop making time for shared activities, emotional distance grows. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's simply choosing to do things separately, over and over, until togetherness feels unusual. Practical tip: schedule time, just like an appointment. A walk after dinner, a weekly movie night, even cooking one meal together. Protect that time the same way you'd protect a doctor's visit or a family commitment. Shared time is fuel for emotional closeness. Helen sighed, remembering when Friday nights used to mean dancing in the living room. Now, Friday nights just meant silence in different rooms. Chapter 3. The Forgotten Touch. One morning, Helen reached out to squeeze Robert's hand. He pulled away gently, distracted, saying he had things to do. She told herself it didn't matter, but it did. Sign number 3, physical affection fades. It's not only about intimacy in the bedroom, it's also about holding hands, hugging, or sitting close. When these simple touches disappear, it's often a sign that emotional connection is slipping too. Practical tip: reintroduce gentle physical gestures without pressure. A hand on the shoulder, a hug before bed, or sitting side by side on the couch. Physical touch releases oxytocin, a hormone that strengthens bonding and reduces stress. Even one small touch a day can start to melt the ice. If you agree that this third sign is one of the most powerful, type the number 3 in the comments. Let's see how many of you felt this in your own life. Chapter 4: The Invisible Wall. Robert had been feeling stressed about his health, but he didn't tell Helen. Helen had been feeling anxious about their finances, but she didn't tell Robert. Both carried their worries silently, as if there was a wall between them. Sign number 4: withholding emotions. When couples stop sharing feelings, whether it's joy, fear, or frustration, it creates distance. The less you share, the more alone you feel, even in the same house. Practical tip: try the "I feel" method. Instead of saying, "You never listen," say, "I feel lonely when we don't talk." Vulnerability feels risky, but it's the path back to closeness. Couples who share emotions regularly report stronger trust and less resentment. Helen longed to hear Robert say what was on his mind, but the silence between them kept growing.
Chapter 5: The Criticism Loop. One evening, Helen asked Robert to fix a leaky faucet. He sighed, rolled his eyes, and muttered, "You always nag me." Helen snapped back, "You never help around here." The words were sharp, and both felt wounded. Sign number 5: more criticism, less kindness. When irritation becomes the main tone of conversation, emotional distance deepens. Small criticisms repeated over time chip away at warmth and respect. Practical tip: replace criticism with appreciation. For every complaint, name 2 things you're grateful for. Instead of "you never help," try "thank you for taking out the trash earlier. I'd love your help with the faucet too." Research shows that couples with higher ratios of praise to criticism enjoy stronger emotional bonds. Robert and Helen realized that they had started treating strangers with more patience than each other. That realization broke their hearts. Chapter 6: Rebuilding the Bridge. Emotional distance is painful, but it isn't permanent. The same way it grows slowly, it can also be healed slowly with intention, patience, and consistent effort. Here is what Robert and Helen tried, and what research supports. 1. Daily check-ins. 5 minutes to ask, "How are you really doing today?" 2. Shared rituals. Morning coffee together or evening walks. 3. Intentional touch. A hug at the start and end of each day. 4. Honest conversations. Naming emotions instead of hiding them. 5. Positive focus. Catching each other doing something good and saying thank you. It didn't transform overnight, but little by little, their laughter returned. The silence lifted. The invisible wall began to crumble. Chapter 7: The Deeper Lesson. Once Robert told Helen, "I thought growing old meant growing apart, but maybe it can mean growing closer, if we choose to." Helen smiled, "And maybe love at this age is less about fireworks and more about gentle warmth that never goes out." Call to action. Now I want to turn this back to you. Out of these 5 early warning signs, which one felt most familiar to you? Was it the shrinking conversations, less time together, the fading touch, withheld emotions, or the rise of criticism? Pick one and write the number in the comments below. And remember, if you agree with sign number 3, that fading touch is the clearest sign of distance, type the number 3 in the comments. I'll be watching to see how many of you share the same thought. If this story opened your eyes, hit the like button and subscribe for more weekly videos about healthy aging, long-lasting love, and practical tips for living well at every stage of life. Because aging isn't just about the body, it's about the heart. And when we protect our relationships, we protect our joy, our health, and our future.